a short replay of the Canada FIA ESSO Protec BF Goodrich Formula Ford Championship Race 4 of the weekend of 1994.
In today's fifth race of the ESSO Protec BF Goodrich Formula 1600 Series, a couple of questions. Can championship leader Didier Scraden hold off the challenges of Martin Guimont and Bruno Bianchi? And will Major General Lew Mackenzie continue his domination of the B-class cars? From Trois-Rivières, Quebec, TSN proudly presents Round 5 of the ESSO Protec BF Goodrich Formula 1600 Series. Hello again, everyone. I'm Vic Rudder along with John Powell, and glad to be in Trois-Rivières because round the world, people know of this racecourse.
Vic, people know this racecourse. Gilles Villeneuve sprang to the world's attention, beating the Formula One stars in Formula Atlantic here. I'm pleased to tell you I won here in 1972 in Formula Atlantic. This is a race in the hearts and minds of Quebec, means something in the motorsport community. It means a lot. And look, Quebecers have the entire front two rows, Vic.
In fact, you talk about Gilles Villeneuve in Jerry Donaldson's new book on the history of James Hunt. It was James Hunt who came to race here at Trois-Rivières, went back home to England and told people over there's a guy named Gilles Villeneuve. Keep your eye on him. He is the star of the future. They run it through the fairgrounds, in and around the Hippodrome, and they have been for years. This is the longest surviving road course in North America, in Trois-Rivières, about halfway between Montreal and Quebec City. And they have raced all kinds of cars here, including Can-Ams.
Absolutely. Can I ever forget Gilles Villeneuve in the Wolf Can-Am car, an evil-handling automobile spinning around, or Patrick Depailler or Giacomelli driving in Formula Atlantic here, driving like roller skates. Jacques Villeneuve winning in Can-Am. Trans Am cars racing here. Crawford, the names go on and on. Anybody who's anyone in motorsport has raced at Three Rivers.
And you make a good point, because this race has a double attraction. It has an attraction to the Quebecois drivers who consider this their marquee event of the entire season, and they can measure themselves against some great international drivers.
Michael Andretti, for example, or in Atlantic, or Roberto Moreno in Formula Atlantic. Yes, they have been here, and of course, Jacques Villeneuve, young Indy star, and his uncle.
Claude Bourbonnais you saw alongside. So the sons return to Trois-Rivières, hoping to emulate the success of their famous fathers. A large field of 36 lined up on the grid here in Trois-Rivières as we look back now at the first four races of this year's series, and we'll begin at Mosport, and it was the driving style of Martin Guimont that won out over Bruno Bianchi.
Aggressive, pushing Bianchi off on the last lap, Vic, which set us up for the next race at Montreal.
Yes, the battle between Guimont and Bianchi continued on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve at the Grand Prix du Canada. And this one, though, was over on the second lap.
Guimont was not in the lead. He wanted to be there. Bianchi was there. And then suddenly, Vic, Bianchi was out. Watch. That sets the stage, Vic, for what I believe is going to be a season-long battle between the fiery Guimont and the very fast Bianchi.
Guimont suggested his brakes had already worn out. The surprise winner from Texas was Mike Sauce.
I just was trying to stay steady and be consistent, and I turned some good laps, and I'm just real happy.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Race 3 was in foggy Dartmouth, Halifax, the Moosehead Grand Prix. Bianchi this time battling again, but it wasn't with Guimont, it was with Ian Willis.
Ian Willis, a brilliant win, choosing the track conditions perfectly. Bianchi wasn't pushed off. Bianchi was just flat out beaten by Ian Willis.
And it was a great last lap move by Willis in his Yellow Pages car.
Willis made a gamble, went onto the wet, came onto the dry. Bianchi started on the dry, went into the wet, and that's all she wrote. Bianchi lost that race to Willis.
Race 4, Mont-Tremblant. Guimont on the pole on the left, Bianchi outside front row.
Bianchi, a stunning leap into the lead on the very difficult drying track. Started out wet, Vic, and that set the stage for a race-long domination. And then suddenly,
on the very last lap, it looked like Guimont went wide. Bianchi tried to go underneath. Disappointment in the Bianchi pit as Guimont...
Disappointment, Vic. Bianchi had the race.
As Guimont would go on to the win at Mont-Tremblant. Didier Strainen, though, more consistent, continues to lead the points battle ahead of Guimont and Paolo Dalchin, while in B class, Major General Lew Mackenzie is the leader there for cars older than 1984. As we take a look at the starting grid, all set now, as we say, 36 cars, and on the pole in a record-setting time of 1:12.76, Bruno Bianchi.
Bruno! I really like this guy, Vic.
And really, it's been hard luck, Bruno Bianchi, so far. Starting next to him on the front row, 20-year-old Jean-François Veilleux. Last year raced in England Formula Vauxhall. Hopes that Trois-Rivieres will be his springboard.
Okay, first of all, get a good start. That's the most important thing, I guess. Having Martin Guimont in my back and Bruno Bianchi in front of me, that's going to be a hard task for the race, obviously. Then go through the first lap and to see what's going to happen. But the key word here is patient, being patient. History proved it. First of all, in Trois-Rivieres, you have to finish, and then you see where we are. Hopefully, we'll be able to be running up front with the leaders.
Second row, Martin Guimont, already the winner of 2 races right behind Bianchi. Are you uncomfortable, Bruno?
I would think just a little bit. Outside second row, Marc Momeny in a Quebec-built CMV. Momeny always challenging. New face, former ice racer. Third on the grid, Dominic Scalzo, number 62. And starting 6th, Paolo Dalchin among the leaders in points.
Well, this is a very important race. It's one of the oldest street races in North America, and for us, it's a very prestigious event to come to. So doing well here is extremely important. It really can help your career a lot.
As the cars now head out on their warm-up lap here at Trois-Rivieres, let's take a look at the rest. There you see in row 4, outside, that is Didier Strainen, and remember, he is the points leader currently after 4 races. The rest of the field.
Nick Lundgreen is 16, racing from America. You know, Vic, at the start of a street race, very, very difficult. Track conditions are dirty. This is not a real racetrack, but a street circuit.
You see the name Lew Mackenzie, that's the Major General. He is 15th on the grid, currently the top B-class qualifier in a 1981 PRS, and of course, cars older than 1984. The oldest car in the field, David Clubine, 26th position, a 1969 Merlyn.
And Marie-Josée Lachapelle is the first woman to start an ESSO Protec BF Goodrich race this season. And she, like all the other drivers, must be nervous getting ready for the start.
Under the Duplessis Arch, up the Boulevard Carmel, we're in Trois-Rivieres. The ESSO Protec BF Goodrich Formula 1600 Series is brought to you in part by ESSO Protec, the leader in protection, engineered in Canada for superior protection. BF Goodrich tires, because no other tires will do. And by Minidisc from Sony, the smaller, recordable, compact disc. Welcome back. The cars completing their warm-up lap. Take us on a tour of this challenging circuit.
Very quick, Vic. And over the start-finish straight, an immediate right-hand 90-degree turn. And then a short burst of speed down to Desforges, a hard left-hand turn. Another squirt right down to the Porte Duplessis, a large archway, and then up along the Boulevard du Carmel. It's not straight, but extremely fast. Brakes really get a workout here as you brake extremely hard to go around the corner at the end of Carmel and onto the Rue de Colomb. A long straightaway heading down to a left-hander named after the wonderful French driver Patrick Depailler. A left there, and then another left along Ryan turn. John Ryan helped create this race circuit. And then a series of S's through the Villeneuve turn, very slow here, and then off down the Avenue Gilles Villeneuve. Here we go through the Villeneuve S's and onto the start-finish straight. And Vic, who can forget Gilles Villeneuve in his glory days here?
The thing I find interesting about this circuit is that there really are only two right-hand turns, one at the end of the start-finish straight and coming out of the Gilles Villeneuve S's. Only two right-handers. Everything else is a left-hander. Ready for the standing start, round 5 of this Formula 1600 series. Remember, it's Bianchi on the pole, Veilleux outside, right behind. It is Martin Guimont.
Bianchi.
The revs come up.
On pole.
We're going.
A great start from Bianchi, but Schreinen has not moved.
Oh, this could be dangerous. The flags, you see the marshals, and quickly it is Bianchi out. Momani takes up the charge.
But it's Veilleux challenging Bianchi as they go down to the bridge, and there's Schreinen. He has not had a good weekend.
Not at all. In fact, on Saturday during qualifying, he tangled very badly with Bruno Bianchi, crashing his car into the wall, destroying 3/4 of it. They were looking for parts to repair it, and so you have to wonder if, in fact, the points leader now has jeopardized his entire season.
A lot of damage. The problem is that we don't have a lot of spare part, but here in Trois-Rivières, there is a lot of Formula 2000 car, which are the same VanDiemen that we're using with a different power plant. So we're going to go shopping around because we're going to need a lot of parts. And I think that the guy wants to keep that lead of the championship as bad as I do. So they're going to work like hell. I hope that we'll be able to race. I don't know where we're going to start because track was slower today, and we had carburetor problem last session. So I was improving my time, but I don't think that I have a good starting position if we start. Guimont and Bianchi have had their misfortune in Montreal and Tremblant for Bianchi and Montreal for both of them. Now it's my turn. I'm not wishing them some problems, but if I want to keep that lead, I will have to hope that something can happen to those guys. Well, it's racing incident, but I was anxious to have a good result here. A lot of people are surprised that I'm leading the championship, me first, but I was trying to prove this weekend that maybe I can win one. I don't think that it will be this weekend. So that's racing.
Well, I tell you what, his crew did a great job. They found the parts, but on the start, you can see now the hand goes up, and everybody does a great job to get by him. But it was a disappointment for team manager Jim Besmer.
The mechanic, Jean-François, just told me that the half shaft broken. That's the one we put on, a brand new one. I mean, it's really disappointing. We worked very hard, and the car was perfect when he went out for practice, and now we have to listen to this. That's really hard to take, but name of the game. Too bad that that new part doesn't hold.
As we go back to live racing, I tell you what, that is one of the most frightening things about a standing start is when a car fails to get off the grid. If you're a driver and you don't look up from your gauges, boy, you're right into the back of him.
But looking up, we've got Bianchi up front, Veilleux behind him, holding off Guimont, who is challenging Boumemi behind that. And we've got a great race shaping up.
And I tell you what, this whole race now takes on a different complexion because of the points battle. Let's remember, as we've got 3 cars, one certainly going off. It looks like an older car as well. Looks like maybe one of the Merlyns.
And, you go. No, you go. And here they can't back up. They can't find reverse. And it's David Clubine in trouble at the corner.
In the 69 Merlyn, that's right. And Sam Ryan in his number 93 from Pennsylvania. But we're talking about this race. Let's remember now, with Strainen not even in the field, Bianchi has a chance to close up. Veilleux can play spoiler, and then Guimont currently running in third. He could take over the points lead.
Let's look at the replay. Sam Ryan on the top of your screen gets taken out by Clubine. David locked up, went straight into him. Well, that's unfortunate, and that's that as we go back to the action. Here's Momami, and he is slipping back. Guimont moving up. Momami not doing as well as he should. Not quite on the pace. And Vic, it's going to be a case of attrition here. Momami can still gather it up. The question is, do you have the discipline to maintain the lead out front? My man Bianchi is leading.
Marc Moni in that white number 60, currently running in fifth position. Oh, and not anymore. There he goes, Marc Momani. And you talked about the attrition. And maybe just marbles there? What's happening?
I think if you leave your braking too late, you're absolutely right, Vic. Get onto the marbles and then you're done. You've got to conserve your tires as ever. But here it is. As he turned in, it's almost that he pitched the car in, and you can't pitch a car on a street circuit like that and not overheat the tires. So he spins and back to the lead, and it's Bianchi, Bruno in the lead. Veilleux pushing, Guimont moving up fast. And we're looking for some excitement here. But the way I see it, Bianchi, with discipline, is going to win this race. There's a fearless prediction, Vic.
So early with the predictions. There you see Martin Guimont, currently running in third, winner of 2 races so far, has had his battles with the leader, Bianchi. And we have a car. This is Martin Walter trying to get it back together.
A nice spin in that beautifully presented automobile, and unhurt and carries on.
Martin Walter, the 32-year-old from London, Ontario, as we go back to the leaders, Bruno Bianchi, followed by Jean-François Veilleux. Oh, Jean-François, hold on.
Sliding the car, Vic, very, very bad. It's easy to get into the temptation of saying, I can pitch the car right and left through this track, and you can't afford to do it. You overheat the tires, and eventually that will catch drivers out.
Let me ask you something about the setup on a car on a track like this. When there are so many lefts and just 2 rights, do you compensate and you give a little bit more to the left-handed turns than you would to the right?
Depends on the individual team. I would not set the car up asymmetrically for that, but you need balance, and most of all, you need a driver who is disciplined. And that's what's going to be the key to this race, as we're watching Veilleux hounded by Guimont, Bianchi pulling it out. Bianchi is just an extraordinary driver, and Guimont and Veilleux doing very well to even remain in contact here. The question is, can they handle the pace in front of 60,000 people and all the pressure? Can they handle the pace for the whole race?
Now, is this one of the passing spots at the end of the Boulevard du Carmel?
Absolutely.
They go in? Right.
Under braking. Come right in deep, but you can't afford to get too far offline because you've got to maintain the momentum and go down the next straightaway.
And it's fair to say this is not a circuit. Oh, we have a car into the wall, and it is.
It's Veilleux.
And in the very same place where he got loose on the last lap.
That's right. It cost him big time. We talk about the discipline. We talk about overheating the tires. The ease with which you can pitch the car. It caught Veilleux out, and those walls, they bite.
Boy, do they come up, and they quickly, as you suggest, bite you. And does this ever set up an interesting battle? With Veilleux gone now, and he is obviously very disappointed. He looked back and then saw the damage and went, oh my.
And you know, that crash with Guimont behind Veilleux cost Guimont time. So Bianchi is profiting from this with a big lead.
Here we go again, Bianchi and Guimont. Welcome back to Trois-Rivieres, round 5 of the ESSO Protec BF Goodrich Formula 1600 Series. As we take a look at the number 71 car, this is Nick Lundgreen, currently running in 5th place, just 16 years of age.
Another kart racer making his way up the ladder into the big time. Lundgreen just 16. Veilleux, is he hurt?
No, I think he's just more upset with himself than anything else, realizing that he planted that car into the wall. And that's how much the race here at Trois-Rivières means to the Quebec driver.
It means so much, Vic. It's a hometown race. It's just so much pressure.
And obvious then disappointment for Jean-François Veilleux, who crashes it here at Trois-Rivières, and he's out.
I was just coming in corner 6 and turned a little bit too early, clipped my apex a little bit too early, just barely hit the guardrail, just traveled the other side of the track fairly quickly, and then barely touched the tires with my rear wheels, and that pushed me back on the wall. Took the two corners, the whole side of the car out.
And that's the story, Vic. And we're watching Bianchi leading over Guimont.
Now what about Bianchi and how he thinks about this race as we watch the rest of the field snake through the Villeneuve S's and then down the Villeneuve start-finish straight? Does he think about Guimont, or does he just drive his race?
You have to drive your own race. And I think Bianchi is very, very good here in measuring himself on the racetrack, and he's not conscious of Guimont at all. He better not be, because Guimont knows. Now, Guimont has the advantage. He is hounding, pressing to catch up with Bianchi.
Well, we've seen fathers and sons before, and that's what we want to talk about on our BF Goodrich Track Fact. The father and son team of Oliver and David Clubine.
Basically, when we decided what to do this year, David very much wanted to join the ESSO Protec series, and it seemed rather senseless for me to go off and do some lesser creative series, so I thought, well, what the heck, I'll tag along with him, and we'll likely have more fun doing it that way, and it certainly is turning out that way.
It works out very well, especially since we aren't in the same class. I'm in the A class, he's in the B class. Anything we can do to help each other is definitely, we will.
And there's a big difference between the older Merlyn style cars and the new VanDiemens.
It's definitely older and not as sophisticated. It makes it a little bit easier to drive. It's like driving your Honda maybe compared to, it's very easy to drive compared to the newer cars. It's harder to set up though because it's not quite as stiff, and the chassis tends to flex a little bit.
We're very short of money, and when it comes time for new tires, sometimes we don't get them. And it's very important that we keep the cars in one piece and won't have any major crashes with them.
Ollie Clubine, a wonderful father, his son. There's so much of that in racing today, the dads and their kids. As we move back to Paolo Dalcin, the young man from Downsview, leading a group through a waved yellow corner. No passing there. Oh, my goodness. No-brainer. That's called a no-brainer. Brian Fogt, I can't believe it. There's a waved yellow. Slow down. There's trouble. Fogt stuffs it in the corner under a yellow.
But how notorious is this corner? There you see Jean-François Veilleux's car still stuffed in the wall, and here is Fogt into the tires.
A yellow says slow down, trouble ahead, no passing. And you never pass under a waved yellow. You can't win anything, so Fogt gets the absolute brainless award for throwing it all away for nothing. Do I sound critical, Vic?
You sound like an instructor. You sound like a teacher. My goodness. And it's up and away for the car of Brian Fogt here at Trois-Rivières.
I think we're going to see a lot of this as the race wears on, people losing it, and that's going to be the story of this race.
We've got another one. This is Stéphane Roy into the tire barrier.
Let's look at the replay. Stéphane Roy from Saint-Sauveur comes in and I think he tagged Momemi hard into the wall. And look, the whole side of the car ripped off. You'll notice that the protection that these space frame cars give is very, very good. Almost a survival cell inside as the corners rip off and the car loses speed.
But he does walk away with a bit of a limp as we see now Paolo Dalcin under some pressure from the number 62. That is Dominic Scalzo, and this a battle for third place.
Scalzo chasing Dalcin and 71 Lundgreen, the 16-year-old from Wisconsin, in the background.
Past the start finish through one of the two right-handers. Look out!
Down through Des Forges, heading down to the bridge. We're watching Scalzo following Dalcin. And after 7 laps, it's Bianchi, Guimont, Delchin, Scalzo, and Lundgreen.
And make a note that the leader in B class, cars older than 1984, Major General Lew Mackenzie, is running in 15th position.
Now, as we run down this race, Vic, lapping traffic is going to play a move. Bianchi is going to try and time his moves so that he passes the cars going into the corners, leaving Guimont with a great big Formula Ford in the way so he can't get by.
And the leaders, of course, have pulled away, and so the real battle now is back in the pack as we look back in the field. And a great move has been made by the number 7 of Mark Green. He started 14th, and he's right at the back there. He's running in 7th place as we watch this battle for 3rd.
Green from Nova Scotia doing an excellent job. Scalzo getting very hairy out there. These cars not behaving well over the bumps as the tires start to overheat. Scalzo being pressed by Lundgreen. Delchin pulling out a margin. And then, of course, Mark Green moving up. And we have a spin. All the way down, off the walls, it's a blue car. What a great job of keeping it off the concrete.
Martin Roy from Montreal, and as you say, this is one of the things about this track. It is very tight and it is very bumpy.
Demands precision. Look at that. He got loose. He came out too hard on the power and slides down the track, locks him up, keeps off the wall, releases the brakes, lets it around, grabs first gear, off he goes again. And there's another spin. I think the spins are happening faster than the cameras can pick it up. And there's a lap car going wide. Bianchi slips through. Guimont has now got 2 cars to get by to try and catch up with Bianchi. Bianchi behind Clubine now. And he's looking for a way by. Yes, goes right, goes left, goes underneath, leaving a 3rd car for Guimont to contend with as they head down to the Duplessis Arch and head along the Boulevard du Carmel.
And exactly, these back markers now start to come into play. And you see exactly, there he goes. There's your leader, Bruno Bianchi. Again, past one of the back markers.
Stretching out, trying to get past number 70. Putting yet another person. And there's Lew Mackenzie. What a wonderful job Lew is doing.
He is the leader in B class, leader in the race, running 15th, leader in point standings after 4. Lee Rasico is currently in 2nd place as we ride along with Lew Mackenzie.
What a great shot this is with our little Sony onboard cameras looking back at Lew. 2 hands on the wheel, shifting very precisely. Pretty decent position here. I should mention the PRS was raced by Davy Jones in Canada when Davy Jones at 16 came up here to race as we watch Bianchi, who has a formidable lead over 2nd place Martin Guimont. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars between Bianchi and Guimont.
And you know what? The thing that I noticed immediately is the line of some of those cars. There just isn't any. And that must make it more difficult for Guimont.
Absolutely. And you know, Bianchi really doesn't mind. But there's Guimont. Missed another opportunity. Now he has to try and get down before the arch. Will he? Yes. Gets by 1 more. 3 more back markers to pass, and down the Boulevard du Carmel, it will be easier down the straightaway for Guimont, but not an easy job to close on Bianchi.
He can barely see Bruno Bianchi ahead of him as Martin Guimont tries to close the gap. And even he starts to twitch a little bit.
Always a game to keep the car handling right, preserve the tires, and be there at the finish. Bianchi has to be disciplined. Guimont, a lot to lose, and a very, very tough road to go.
Bruno Bianchi continues to lead comfortably over Martin Guimont. Paolo Delchin is 3rd. Welcome back to Trois-Rivières. Vic Roder along with John Powell. And yes, there is your leader. That is Bruno Bianchi. Hard luck, Bruno. And continues to lead after 11 laps. And comfortably as we wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And finally, there is the 2nd place car of Martin Guimont.
I consider this a stunning job. Not very exciting to watch, but a stunning job that Bianchi is doing to lead this race. Just excellent driving.
You know, we've talked about the other courses, for example, Mosport or Mont-Tremblant, where there's a rhythm. There is no rhythm here.
Oh, yes, there is. I don't mean to another spin, and this is Verderber running 8th. Christian Verderber has spun at the same corner where Veilleux's car is still parked, and there is a held yellow. This is a difficult corner, but yes.
Look at the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Dominic Scalzo in the black number 62 goes to the outside. Oh my goodness, through the S's here, the right-hander, and getting him back, the number 47 is Daniel Saint-Marie. Back in the pack, that's where all the cars are. There you see Lundgreen, the 16-year-old. Now the back markers, and look at this battle. Lundgreen goes through cleanly through turn 1.
He's broken through, and now there's a bunch of cars. There's a yellow car in there, 24, I think, is Peters from Ottawa. And of course 47 is Lundgreen, and then the Scalzo in the 62 car, all picking their way through, having a great dice.
And this is where the battle goes on between the two classes of cars. You know, the A-class cars, then the B-class guys who are older than 1984.
It's almost as if you just try and pass whoever the heck it is. You don't know who they are, where they are, and there's 3 abreast. And there's a wonderful move by the McDonald's.
Oh, no!
Oh, my goodness.
Up and over, and we have Scalzo and Oliver Clubine getting together.
Oliver hit very hard, upside down into the tires. He went right over the top. And we have a red flag, Vic. Now, what that means, tell your audience, Veilleux calling for help here, looking for a tow.
It is a scary thing about open wheel racing, though, because the cars do launch off of each other when they do touch wheels.
Let's look at the replay. He just tags the right rear wheel of Scalzo and goes up and straight into the wall. Now, I think he's okay. I saw some movement in that last shot. I think he's okay. I'm sure he is. And we look again once more. Up and over and straight in. Now, the tires offer protection.
Oh, you see, but the arms were hanging out. He wasn't able to keep his arms in the car.
There's a lot of force involved in a rollover, and we're looking from another point of view. He turns in, and it's 62, right up.
Look at the hand come out.
But into the tires, and I hope he's okay. They have to get the car up, right side up, get the driver out very, very carefully. And there's Veilleux holding a fire extinguisher, the safety crews responding very quickly. And of course, on a red flag situation, they're lining all the cars up while the emergency crews attend to the problem. Oliver Clubine, Vic, they're bringing the car over, and the paramedics are with him. Very, very carefully bring it over. The response crews at motor racing events are extremely well trained, and they're in good hands here, looking after possibly an injured driver.
And surprisingly, John, there is Dominic Scalzo's car. We thought after the collision, that he was okay, but he's broken his suspension.
Must have been hurt and then crashed a couple of corners later. Very, very difficult. There's David Clubine. He has stopped, gotten out. Veilleux is with him. This is very, very difficult. You've got to keep the people away from the crash scene while the paramedics deal with it. One more shot. There's Ollie Clubine into the tires.
Now watch the arms. You see they're hanging straight down, and then the car comes down on top of Ollie Clubine, and that's where you think the injury may have taken place. As you say, Jean-François Veilleux, other officials trying to reassure his son that Dad is okay.
You have to wait and let the paramedics deal with it. I think the roll bar of the car is what protects everybody, and we've just received word here that Ollie is in fact okay. While they reform the grid, we'll go back and have a look and find out from the paramedics exactly what the story is on Ollie Clubine's accident.
Can we point a finger here? Did Ollie have the right line, or should he have given way, being a B-class car, to Scalzo?
Very difficult to say. He had the line going in, but you know what? You got to give racing room. So that's a racing incident. There goes Clubine into the ambulance.
And we're very glad to tell you that, cuts and bruises and a broken finger, and that are the extent of the injuries to Ollie Clubine. And for that, we are thankful.
And we're shaping up now for a restart. One pace lap, a single file start, and then a 10-lap sprint. Bianchi is the leader.
And so remember now, it'll all close up, of course. Bianchi, Guimont will be right on his tail, and then following in third place will be Paolo Dal Chin, as he looks to make up ground in the point standings.
Well, the car is going really well so far, and I'm going to try and get, just try and keep up with Martin and Bruno and see what we can do from there. It's 11 laps, so it's going to be a bit of a sprint race, but you don't want to make your moves too early.
And the leader in the B-class cars, just waiting it out, is the retired Major General Lew Mackenzie. And Lew Mackenzie is the subject of this week's Protec Profile. Most summer weekends you can find him up to his elbows in grease, but wearing a big smile at racetracks. Lew Mackenzie must rival Paul Tracy and Jacques Villeneuve as Canada's most famous race driver. If fame is measured in international TV interviews, well, Mackenzie then is the hands-down winner. The Major General who commanded the United Nations forces in the former Yugoslavia has now retired from the armed forces, but his opinions are still sought by reporters and heads of state alike. His career as a writer was an instant success. His first book, a national bestseller. However, through it all, he has maintained his love of motor racing.
It was 1975. I was 35 at the time. Most race car drivers' careers are over by that stage. And I was in Germany, and for the first time woke up at the end of the month and I had a little bit of money left after all the bills had been paid. And my wife Dora and I worked out a deal that I would go racing for 1 year just to see whether I liked it or not. Well, I guess that's about 19 years ago. We've been doing it ever since. I'm 54. I don't want to play seniors volleyball, seniors basketball, seniors baseball or whatever. I want to be competitive, and motorsport is one of the few sports where you can do that, and not only that, while you're doing it, you're camouflaged. I mean, people looking at me go by in corner 2 at Mosport don't know this is a 54-year-old idiot out there competing with 18-year-olds. It's not until you get out, try and get out of the car at the end of the race they might be suspicious. But I mean, you're covered with all the clothing and helmets, so you can sort of still compete with the kids, and I enjoy that. I'm not there to become a Formula Atlantic, IndyCar, Formula One driver. I'm there as that part of the ESSO Protec series that's there as a hobby, as a way to relax. And to enjoy myself, whereas the the Paulo Delchins of the world and the very good drivers, the Martin Guimonts, they're there because they're on their way up the ladder, and it's just a privilege to be able to compete with them as they're moving up the ladder. But I'm quite happy in Formula Ford.
And happy as the leader in B-class cars. The pace car is in. We are coming through the Villeneuve S's. We are getting ready for the green flag, and it is now a 10-lap sprint, and Bianchi has a great jump.
A single-file restart. Bianchi times it perfectly. Guimont at least 2 seconds behind as they sprint to the finish. Third, Dalchin, and right behind him is Mark Green from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. He's having a great race, Vic. He qualified 14th, and now he's challenging as they get back through a few slower cars. Green has moved up to 5th.
What a remarkable start that was, and that's the thing though, on rolling starts, it is your leader who sets the pace. Where was Guimont?
Well, it's single file, and there was a guy in between him and a backmarker, because that's the way they started it. And I don't know, Guimont obviously doesn't start very well. This is about the 3rd start I've seen him blow. And Bianchi had it timed perfectly. Well, good for Bianchi, because it's a sprint to the finish. 9 laps to go.
Puff of smoke there, probably somebody. It looked like it may have been Guimont locking up the brakes a little bit. But there is that number 7 car.
Mark Green
from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, has moved on up now and in that battle with Paulo Dalchin for 4th overall.
It's Bianchi to Guimont, to Dalchin, Green, and then back a little bit, Lundgreen, the 16-year-old from Wisconsin, who was going so well. He didn't get a good start on this restart single file. As we head down under the bridge, Bianchi and Guimont once more, then Dalchin, the slower car, and then Green and Lundgreen. Daniel Saint-Marie tries to get past Perigny in the number 10 blue car, doesn't make it, and see how much time Vicky's lost. He makes a move, and then he's got to work his way up, and it takes so much. 10th after 10th, you've got to work it up.
You see one of the cars here, look at this, signaling to Guimont, go inside. How does Bianchi's mind change now? Before he was comfortably in front, as we have a car off, that is Simon Mayat from Nova Scotia being pushed off the course. But before he was comfortably in front, now he sees the race, he really has to run 2 races in one.
I think Bianchi's just concentrating on not putting a foot wrong. Everywhere he goes, he's looked after his tires. There's Momami, who's dropped right back after a spin. But Bianchi, discipline, concentration, precision, smoothness, that's what you're getting out of Bianchi. You can't afford to think about anything else.
Battle back in the pack, and again, it's B-class cars. You see Ricardo Revi putting his hand up, signaling to Sylvain Lefebvre, take the inside line through the start-finish straight and into turn 1. And that's something you've got to be conscious of. You've got to know who's coming up behind you.
Good discipline there from the slower cars, letting the other cars through, giving racing room. And we need room because the concrete walls are formidable. As we watch Lundgreen in the 71 car, just racing down just in front of Perigny, under the Duplessis arch, and up the Carmel straightaway.
Talk a little bit about this 16-year-old. We talked about the SCCA rule in the United States. That's why he's up here.
You cannot race until you're 18 in Sports Car Club of America rules. You can race when you're 16 and have a driver's license and go to school in Canada. So there's Lundgreen, a junior light championship in karting, doing a good job, just holding off Perigny in the number 10 car.
And an interesting story, of course, people who follow Indy Lights, as Perigny goes to the inside, makes the nice move and gets him, and now loses the line. And does Lundgreen get him back?
Lundgreen
no, Perigny
doesn't make it.
But Greg Moore from British Columbia, who races Indy Lights, same problem confronted him. He couldn't go Formula Atlantic racing. That's why he went Indy Lights, because he got the permission to race when he was 18.
There you go. Lundgreen has dropped a spot. Perigny took it back, and he tried to get it back, has not been able to. Challenges, takes a look, pulls back in behind Perigny. It's so tough in single-seater racing, Vic, because if you take a look too long and go offline, you lose too much ground. You can't close up quickly enough to pass again. So Lundgreen is haunting Perigny, trying to get his position back as they go underneath the Siage. And there's Lew Mackenzie.
Well, Lew Mackenzie still leading in B-class, 13th overall. But interestingly enough, here he is in a battle with Don Valance in the number 51, Valance from Bolton, Ontario. He's in an A-class car, so sometimes you do get the battles between the two classes.
Get cars together, you get a race, come to Three Rivers, and you have a great time. 60,000 people watching this motor race, and there is Lew Mackenzie in the PRS. Valance behind him in the Swift, twitching a little bit under braking, and boy, Lew, keep it cool there, just bouncing around as they go down to the next corner.
Yeah, you can see him check his mirrors. He wants to find out where Valance is. Valance looking to the inside now, the left-hander.
Coming out, Valance goes on the inside, pulls back in, and you can see just in this beautiful Sony handicap shot, there's Valance on the inside.
Well, Valance looked like he may have just lost a little bit there in the S's.
And look at Lew, he's looking over his right, but he's looking in his mirrors too much, Vic. You've got to concentrate. I think Valance got by him. No, there goes Valance down the inside.
Into turn 1. Has he got the line?
Looks like Valance took it away.
Yep.
You know, there's a rule that says don't look in your mirror too much, because if you do, you slow yourself down. I think that's what happened to Lew as Valance pulls away, and we go back to number 4, Bruno Bianchi leading this motor race.
And let's emphasize again the tough luck that Bruno Bianchi has had in the first 4 races. You know, the tangles with Guimont to knock him out in 3 of the races, and then really being beaten on a good last lap effort by Ian Willis. So Bianchi, maybe the time has come for Bruno here at Trois-Rivières.
I certainly hope so. This young man deserves it. He's driving an impeccable motor race, and just he lost to Willis in Nova Scotia. He got cheated by Guimont at the other races at Mosport, at Mont-Tremblant, at Montreal. Will he be cheated at Three Rivers? I think not.
You know, I think sometimes too, John, we forget. We look at this, and this is like a Sunday drive, it would seem. But this can be almost more difficult to drive with nobody pressuring you than somebody right on your tail.
Very, very difficult indeed. You're right, Vic. Oh, and there is Guimont sliding on a little bit of the cement dust left from the Clubine accident of that turn. This is not a nice place to get loose. Guimont has to control it, and that's the discipline that perhaps is lacking in Guimont that we're seeing in Bianchi, as he does not appear to set a real wrong as they run down to the checkered flag on the penultimate lap, which means 2 to go, Vic.
Bruno Bianchi getting the last lap now, on his way to what he hopes will be his first win of this season.
In second, Martin Guimont.
And you figure he's just trying a little too hard here.
But he's trying everything he can to close the gap, because winning is everything. And Dal Chin from Downsview is in third, but a very distant third. The only person who can even think about first place is Guimont, and as the clock winds down, I'm afraid that Guimont is not going to make it. However, anything can happen at Three Rivers.
Well, certainly it can, but you go back to that restart, because that's where Guimont lost it and where Bianchi really won it.
That's right, but you still have to get through the corners. The tires overheat, the concentration goes away. Dal Chin in third, Bianchi in first. But look how smooth he is coming out of that corner. And look how smooth he is turning in. The head moves as he looks across the corner. Very good car control. And there he goes.
Through the Villeneuve S's. Now the quick left-hander over the curbing, ready to take the checkered flag. Hard luck. Bruno Bianchi has finally won his first race of this season. Martin Guimont will finish second. And congratulations to his crew. They've seen a lot of unhappiness so far this season, but now the joy of their first win for Bruno Bianchi.
If you're going to win one, win it at Three Rivers. And here comes Lew Mackenzie.
He wins in B class for cars older than 1984, and for the retired Major General, his third win of the season.
Well, good for Bruno and good for Lew Mackenzie. Bruno deserved that one. As I said before, Vic, if you're going to win one, win it at Three Rivers.
There is none bigger, if you are a Quebec driver, than Trois-Rivieres. Bruno Bianchi is the winner ahead of Martin Guimont. And when you look back, they'll point at that restart and the 10-lap sprint. That's what won it for Bianchi, as Lew Mackenzie wins in B class. Well, those of you who saw the race from Mont-Tremblant realize and saw the disappointment of Bianchi's crew there. Well, now they get to celebrate their first win of the season, as Bruno Bianchi gave the thumbs up to Martin Guimont, his first win here at Trois-Rivieres.
After the first start, I had pulled away from Martin. I had 7 seconds in front of him before the red flag. Then the red flag came out. That's why a new race, 11 laps remaining. So I say I'm going to try to pull away at the first lap. That's worked out. And after 2 laps, I had a lead of about 5 seconds. I keep pushing until the checker flag, and that's all.
Let's remember now, Didier Scranen didn't race. Martin Guimont is your new points leader.
The pause in the middle was just a break, time to recuperate. But no, I had a good race. I couldn't really compete with Bruno, but I had a good race.
Well, it was a good race. We didn't quite have it to keep up to Martin and Bruno, but we were still third quickest, and we had no problem being in third at all. It was a good race for us.
For the third time this year, Lew Mackenzie is a winner in B class.
Well, driving a B-class car, it's fun running with some of those A-class fellas. And Nigel is preparing the car. It's beautiful, and it's stuck all the way, and we won by over a minute, so I'm delighted. Big lead in the points championship now.
You bet. Look at that. 75.5 points. Lew Mackenzie, the leader, in front of Lee Rasico. Of course, that in B class. Cars older than 1984. Now, one of the reasons ESSO goes racing is to continue the research and development of ESSO products, such as the new ESSO 100% synthetic engine oil.
What we're really interested in the racing environment is how the racing circuit degrades oil quality. And we're convinced that our conventional oils that have improved significantly in the last few years with the upgrade in oil categories will actually survive in this environment. It's a little hard convincing the car drivers and the engine builders of this, and so what we're doing now is we're taking oil samples, and we don't care what oil they're using. We'll analyze any of the oils, and we're really looking for how the oils are breaking down. Our expectation is that there's going to be wear debris that's coming from the engine and going into the oil. We'll be measuring the level of that debris, and we'll also be measuring the breakdown of things like viscosity that the oil needs to have to give the engine proper protection. So we're going to analyze the oils, compare the performance of our Protec oil, which actually won the B class today. The winning car had our Protec 20W50, and try and we're convinced, but try and convince the racing community that our oils are doing as good a job as the national brands.
Today's race was brought to you in part by ESSO Protec, the leader in protection, engineered in Canada for superior protection. By BF Goodrich Tires, because no other tires will do. And by Minidisc from Sony, the smaller recordable compact disc. Just a reminder to join us for the final race of the series from Mont Tremblant. Until then, on behalf of John Powell and our entire crew, I'm Vic Rauter. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye from Trois-Rivieres.
What a great year. Thank you very much. Hey, just so that we're going to pack it in this, eh?
Like and follow for more.